Good morning, dear students, and because I have some issues which I need to solve, I decided to record the video which help you to start your next exercise to create the calendar, interactive calendar with some most famous and um, public events. So now I will show you how possible to create the calendar grid by the two different ways. The first way it's possible to create exactly in InDesign, and the second way it's create in Illustrator and then place it in InDesign. And you are going to your two lessons, create the design of your interactive calendar, and then I will explain you how possible to apply any interactive activities for the datas which represent some historical or public description about exactly these events which you would like to represent on your calendar. So if you wanted to make any calendar net in InDesign, so you first of all have to draw the square. It's up to you what kind of size of the square you wanted to choose, and then select this square and go to the edit and choose the option step and repeat. Step and repeat, here you have to switch on the option create a grid as a grid, and provided how many numbers you wanted to provide in one row or in one column. For example, we decided to make one line, it's dates, and the other lines, it's exactly the numbers. So according to the rows, it will be 7 days in the row, and about the columns, we have at least 4 weeks, or 4 days in one 4 weeks, at least 4 weeks in 1 month, and sometimes it's a jump into the 5 weeks, and also one row. It should be rows 5 and +1 for days, so it will be 6, and for columns it's usually 7 days, so I will have to put 7. Now, using the offset, we start making the differentiation. So it depends how you wanted to use that squares. You could make bigger or smaller size between the cells of your net, and also the same size you have to provide for your vertical position. Now I have exactly the grid which I wanted to use, and click OK. So first of all, we will create the one grid for our work, and you may see that it's a text frames, and according to the text frame I can make the connection between that element. So this is connection, I will do it for my dates, and the next one connection I will start making between the cells to provide the numbers of my calendar for the month. From the last cell, I will make the connection to the first next line and do it the same with all that parts between the elements. When you finished, finally you could fillet all that parts and then copy it to get all the numbers from each month during the next year or this year. It's up to you what kind of calendar you wanted to create now. So finally I have all the connections which I needed, and now I can place my cursor inside of my first line and type here Monday, tab. Always use after the elements tab just to jump into the next line. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you may see that we have two elements inside of the one cell, and to make it a right position, I will select all these elements and start making bigger the size of the fonts. And you may see how it's jump into the one cells. You can make it as possible as you can use for your elements. And of course you could set exactly the fonts which you would like to use for your design. Typefaces, for example, I wanted to make the typefaces Helvetica, and Helvetica, for example, medium or bold for my elements. And for example here I will use it just Helvetica with normal or thin. It depends what kind of design I wanted to use. And here I will just type from 1 to 31. 1, tab 2, tab 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and etc. Always use tab between the elements, otherwise you won't be able to get exactly the size which you really need to create your calendar guide. Now I have all the numbers. Again, I will select all these numbers and make bigger size to get exactly one line in one cell. For example, again, I will use 21 as my here I have 20, so it's better also they use the same size for my other parts. And now you have to remember from which day we start our year. So you have to copy this element 12 times. Of course, after when you set all the settings, you could make it smaller, but now because it's still automatically provided for you, it's better to I select some parts. It's better to not make it smaller, this size. So keep it in the same size as you have the ability to keep it. So this is not good. Maybe I will copy it, and then for example I could create one more page and just copy this into my next page. And place it here. Good. So my first line, my first page will represent my first 6 months and the next other 6 months. So first of all, you have to look at from each day we start our year. So the January will start from Sunday. So in this case, I will click one cursor into my first rectangle and use tab until it will jump into the Sunday first. You may see that I need create one more rectangle, so it's better to exactly create not the 5 lines, but better create 6 lines for your numbers, because for example here I have some troubles with my datas for January. So the February was start from if I can see here, it's from Wednesday. So I will tap 2 times just to move my first data into the Wednesday. And for example March, you see that because I have only 28, so I will delete everything, and I may see that my March also start from the Wednesday. So in this case you could set all the datas which you need. For example, April will start from Saturday, so I will jump into the Saturday like this one, and as I know I don't have for April 31, so I delete the 31, and for May it will start from Monday exactly, so everything's okay. For June I have it start from Wednesday, and it have only 30 days, so I first of all delete the 31, then put my cursor before 1 and use tab exactly to start from Thursday. And a tracer, you will set all the data which you need. Now you could make the outlines for each part of your calendar net. For example, I will select Friday and then use Shift Ctrl O to create outlines. You may see that some elements not exactly appeared for your design. It means that you could delete that things, and then you have to make the alignment just to give, or just to provide the nice appearance of all your datas, because now all datas provide for you the wrong alignment. Or for example, if you really don't want to use that kind of position, you could use, for example, 0 before the datas, and it will provide for you exactly the right position for all the numbers which you have inside of your net. So this is how possible to avoid any alignment of your element. But also you may see that the some elements not really looks amazing. So in this case I, for example, will just select the line which I wanted to make alignment and use the tools which help me to align. And it's better to select the key object, and according to the key object select what kind of key object you would like to use for alignment. I will use the data, and then select that align exactly of this data in the center. Next line, again select the key object, select the data, and make the alignment according to the mid point. So this is how you could use exactly element to align all that elements, and this helps you to provide the nice visuality of your all elements. And then of course you could change the color if you not yet changed the colors, but please be sure that you apply the typefaces before you create before you use the create outlines mode. Otherwise you can't change any appearance of your datas inside of the calendar net. So this is finally you get nice appearance, and then of course you could now select and make the size which you really need for your design. For example, just to provide all the datas for all the month in one artboard. So this is how you could use the knowledge to create the calendar net for your future design. So what you're gonna do for your first 2 lessons, you have to create the design with calendar net, and I will explain you some structure and some composition which you have to exactly to use for your design, because after that we will make the interaction for some datas from the calendar. So that's why, for example, I will use one of that element which has helped me exactly to provide some design. So you have to provide your design in InDesign, not in Illustrator. Of course, you could use Illustrator like additional software and Photoshop to create any collage or any elements for your future design. So first of all, I wanted to get any background, any nice complicated background, use some gradient and use some trends, which is now very very popular to use. You also could add any patterns for your background. Then of course you have to apply according to the circle all your guidelines of the calendar net. So you will have here, for example, 3 of the elements. It's better, of course, to when you will make any alignment to group it. It will help you to keep the nice visuality of the elements before it starts, so like this one. And of course now I can also make some distribution between the elements. Of course the same things you will get in the opposite side, and 2 more elements between that parts. This is help us to keep enough space between that part in the middle, because we will use these parts exactly to create some pop-up windows, and the pop-up windows help us to see any information about what we gonna to provide here. So 8 to not enough, so maybe you will try to use another size for your elements. For example, just to make 1 more elements here, so I will just show you the structure. So please keep the space in the middle where we will exactly provide some pop-up windows during the interaction buttons to open and close the media or animation or slider for some information about any public events on your calendar. So this is what I would like to share with you. So you have to provide some design using the nice, interesting trend background, ingredients or illustration patterns. It's up to you what kind of background you would like to provide. Also, your numbers should be visible on that background. So if your background quite dark, you could use the inverse of the colors, so like a white color, just to represent the elements. One more thing, all the public events should be exactly attract our eyes, so catch our eyes. It means that please use any bright color to represent that events, like a New Year, Happy Women Days, Fatherland Day, or any other traditional holidays which we have here in the country. So for that, please use any information on the internet just to find what kind of dates you have to select it from other dates, just to provide exactly the numbers which we will use to show what is that events can bring the people on that calendar. So also please don't forget to add any month for that calendar net, and also provide the year of each year you create this calendar net. So let's see in our on our lesson in afternoon, or one of our group, and I will start explaining you some interactive things, how possible to apply in InDesign to create any pop-up windows.